All right, so when we were talking about networks, we used the book Computer Networking, a top-down approach. So this book is really good about networks. But at the chapter 8, they talk about security, and this is just a basic introduction to cryptography and some ideas like TLS and IPsec. So instead of talking about cryptography from the book slides, we use our own slides because the book is not about cryptography, and actually a lot of information are outdated. So although they revised it very recently, like 2020, since cryptography is not their specialty, like many other people, they think some algorithms are secure, but they're actually not. So let me start, for instance, with the first two slides, which I actually skipped the whole cryptography part. But the security overview of this chapter is understand principles of network security, cryptography, and its many uses beyond confidentiality, authentication, message integrity. These are the topics I mentioned in the last 2 weeks. Security in practice, these are the things that we are going to talk about today. Firewalls and intrusion detection systems, security in application, transport, network, link layers. Right? So I erased all of the parts about the cryptography, but I didn't erase this part, just to show a simple typo. They say that RSA stands for Rivers, Shamir, and Adelson. I don't know why there's such a typo, but the guy is named Adelman, not Adelson. So this was a minor typo, but more importantly, the book and the slides talk about hash functions, and they say that MD5 and SHA-1 are used everywhere. Okay, so and they also provide which standards they were included in. So this gives the idea that these algorithms are secure, but we don't use them in practice. Actually, TLS 1.3 does not contain these algorithms. So this is why you have to be very careful. I know a lot of people who still use MD5, which is not secure, okay, which was broken more than 20 years ago, actually. So I don't know why people keep using it. But this is the idea of security on the internet. So if you still search saying that how long my password should be, they will say that 8-character passwords are secure. But this information is from 1990s. They think about CPU power and give you this idea. They don't think about the advancements in technology, GPUs, and so on. Similar ideas here. People use MD5 everywhere, so people think that it is still secure, but you shouldn't use MD5 for SHA-1, okay? So let's start with our book's security topics. So first thing is securing email. So we already seen the email protocols. So question is, how can we send an email in a secure way? So our aim is to have confidentiality. In other words, we are going to use encryption. So Alice wants to send confidential email M to Bob. So Alice is here, Bob is here, M is the mail that you want to secure. So, and you have to send it through internet, which is an unsecured channel of communication. So you have to do all of the encryption beforehand and then send it through internet. So Alice generates random symmetric private key KS, okay, here. Encrypts message with KS. It says here for efficiency because you can also use RSA and encrypt it, but we already mentioned this symmetric key encryption algorithms are a lot faster than asymmetric key encryption algorithms. So this is why here, for instance, Alice use AES, okay, and obtains the encrypted message. But since they haven't agreed on the secret key yet, Bob cannot decrypt it, right? So Alice also encrypts KS with Bob's public key. So in this scenario, we are assuming that everybody has a public and private key. So everybody keep their private key to themselves, but they announce their public key. So Bob has a public key, so Alice uses it to encrypt the secret key KS. But you might say that why, since she is encrypting it, she could also encrypt the message with that public key encryption algorithm. KS here, for instance, if you're using AES 128, this is just 128 bits. But maybe your mail consists of 10 megabytes of data. This is why this part is also easy. So you concatenate them, send them to Bob. Bob first obtains KS by decrypting it with his private key, obtain AES secret key, then uses to decrypt the mail. So this is the easiest way you can use cryptography to have encrypted email. Okay. Yes, I already mentioned this. So if Alice wants more, instead of confidentiality, Alice also wants integrity and authentication. So Alice Digital signs hash of her message with her private key, providing integrity and authentication. Because otherwise, you can do this, but Bob wouldn't know that the message comes from Alice, right? And secondly, maybe some part of this encrypted message is deleted, so Bob cannot know if the integrity is changed or some of the bits might be flipped when it was sent through the internet. So for this reason, Alice digitally signs hash of her message with her private key, providing integrity and authentication, because she will also send this, and Bob will check the signature by using Alice's public key, and this way, they will obtain integrity and authentication. So this solution, so the previous one was for confidentiality. Here we forget confidentiality and only provide integrity and authentication. So here you send the message as plain text, but also take the hash of the message, then encrypt it with Alice's private key. So Bob also decrypts it, checks the signature. So here there's not an encryption, but signing of the hash of the message. So you send the M, also signed hash of the message. When Bob receives the message, he also takes the hash, then checks the signature if the signature is valid for the same hash values. So this way you provide integrity and authentication. So we provided two solutions. Now we combine them to obtain both confidentiality and message integrity and authentication. So just assume that we combined the previous two. So first, takes the message, calculates the hash of it, signs it with her private key, then encrypts it with a randomly generated symmetric key encryption algorithm's key. Also encrypts it with Bob's public key, then sends all of them. So Alice uses three keys: her private key, Bob's public key, new symmetric key, which is randomly generated here. So question here, the books ask what are Bob's complementary actions, but you can easily guess, right? So we're just combining two previous pictures.